What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the After Credit Scene. We're talking episode 4 of Agatha All Along. We've got a whole lot to get to, and we're going to spend a whole lot of time talking about some spoilers and some Easter eggs. But first, please like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so when we drop new content, you'll be the first one to know about it. Then share this video all across the multiverse. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being a part. If you have any comments, please leave them below so you can join the discussion. I'm curious to see what you guys think about what happened this episode. As far as forecast and things that we talked about on Monday before this episode aired, a lot of things about, Rio shows back up. The coven does an incantation to put Miss Hart to rest. They realize they need another green witch. Agatha doesn't actually have to tell that she, pulled somebody else in under false pretenses. Maybe that'll come up later. I doubt it. But Miss Hart is buried. They perform an incantation to summon another witch. Rio appears rather suddenly, and she is that green witch. Now, we find out some stuff about her and about her story here at the end. But I really loved having Aubrey Plaza back in this because her dialogue and her little pokes and her little jabs really kind of moved the story forward and added a lot of dialogue and a lot of information that we kind of needed. And it kind of creates that extra tension, especially with Agatha, because Agatha kind of has the upper hand with the rest of the coven because she can kind of sow that chaos. But when Rio shows up, Aubrey Plaza's character, she really balances out Agatha, puts Agatha on edge, and that was a really good dynamic. So in terms of an episode, I thought it was a really solid episode. Just like episode 3, we get a little bit of a walk down the road, a little bit of conversation. We get a scene in another setup in a house that is another puzzle, another challenge. They overcome that challenge, and there's a whole lot of dialogue and information in there we're going to get into. And then they end up back on the road and kind of have to deal with some things before the episode ended. I actually liked that they didn't spend so much time in the challenge like they did in the first episode, or the episode 3 in the first challenge. But they balanced it out with some conversation, some interaction on the road, the challenge, and then some stuff later. Hopefully we'll balance that out a little more. I hope we don't get into this procedural, well, we walk on the road for a little bit and then we have another challenge. I hope they'll at least maybe take a little bit of a break where they don't get to a challenge just yet. Maybe next episode is where the Salem 7 catch up with them. But we're going to get some interaction. They have to stop at some point. They've completed 2 of what I'm assuming are 5 challenges. And they in terms of episodes, they completed them pretty quick, back to back, episode 3, episode 4. They need to stop. They need to have a bigger challenge. Something gets in their way. Something stops them. I think the Salem 7 is going to be that. Curious what you guys think about that. Do you think it's going to be something else? Did you even like the episode? I thought talking about Lorna Wu's character getting the challenge in the form of this curse that they had to deal with, and then getting another rendition of The Witch's Road, which had some other lines in it that fit specific characters a little more closely, particularly Lorna's daughter. And so we're going to talk about some of that stuff too. But let's just really talk about Easter eggs and spoilers, because that was really the meat of this episode. The backstory that went along with those Easter eggs, I think, is the most important part. Starting off with the witchy imagery in the house as they show up, there is moon imagery, faces of the moon. Those things were on the door of the last challenge. They were on the door of this challenge, and they make the comment that this is the waxing moon. If you look up anything, a little bit of a Google search and looking up anything on witchcraft type things or faces of the moon and what they might mean, not just in witchcraft but tarot card reading and all those odd things. The waxing moon, at least on its surface, there's a lot of other details, but really just means power rising. That it's the moon is on its way to full moon, full power, but the waxing moon is the beginning of power, on your way to power. The power is rising. And so I thought that was that's actually probably a pretty apt description of what's going on there. Is these witches are starting to gain their power. You got that with Jennifer's ability at the end when she heals the teen. You got that with Lorna Wu's daughter overcoming Lorna's curse and learning about that and then obviously Rio showing up as well. You got some power rising and that kind of thing. And so one thing I really want to put out there for you guys, could not find anything on the Latin translations of the different spells that they did. There's two separate times where Latin is used in this episode, and it was not translated in the subtitles. I'm guessing the second one with Jennifer, where she is going into the moonlight with the water, really just has something to do with water, because you could hear the phrase agua in some form there, some derivative of that. And so I'm guessing there's not much to that one, but I would be interested to see what the Latin translation is for the spell that they use that ends up summoning Rio's character. So if anybody knows that, drop it below. I have a little bit of after credit swag I can send your way. Other than that, in the house where they experienced the challenge, there are pictures on the walls of different means of torture for witches. There's a picture at one point of what looks like a child who looks a lot like Teen trapped in a cage. Very interesting as well. A lot of these imageries really, I think, are just lending themselves to witch history more so than maybe, especially in this one, more so than anything about any particular character. But those things could be in there as well. Some of the masks on the wall that Jennifer pauses to look at, and the fact that as they're singing the song, particularly trying to break this curse, Agatha makes the point that that the song that Lorna Wu came up with was not really just her trying to get to the road, and it was not just her trying to make a buck off of her witchcraft history, but that it was a protection spell against whatever curse was going on in their family to protect her daughter. And I thought that was really awesome. I thought being able to sing the song together as a coven, that they, which they are totally putting together their own coven here. They even mentioned it a couple of times, they're an incomplete coven. That using that to protect themselves and using that to overcome this curse was one of the challenges, which to me lends itself to the idea that the road is not so much about creating these random challenges, but like they said, the road tailors itself to the witches because it's trying to create a stronger coven, that it's all actually working together, that it's not, this death wish that everybody says it is, but that walking the road grants you power because that's the nature of the road. I think, it's one of those, as cheesy as it sounds, it's a very Disney plot point that the power of friendship, right? That they get all the way to the end and they find out that they had the power in them all along. All those kind of things. But all that to be said, different imagery like that. In Lorna's version of the Witch's Road song, there are lines specifically tailored to her daughter. She says, "If I can't hold you, remember what I told you. I'll see you at the end." Perhaps there are other witches that have not gotten off of this road. Maybe there's even some kind of witch afterlife. We've seen a different type of afterlife for Moon Knight. We've seen a different type of afterlife for Thor's people who go to Valhalla. So there could be a different type of afterlife for witches, and maybe this is part of it, and maybe she'll see them in the afterlife. Who knows? But other Easter eggs, Patti LuPone's character, which I thought was funny, not getting any singing lines in the Witch's Road song, but every time they cut back to her, she was either in a different costume or she's playing a different instrument, shaking maracas or playing little hand cymbals and all these kind of things that were just kind of a funny nod to the fact that she is a Broadway star and they didn't let her sing. The two big things here, finding out that there are some Funko Pop leaks out there that may or may not be true, but I think one of them is probably pretty true, and since it is, it means the other one is probably true as well. The Funko Pop leak that Rio Vidal, aka the Green Witch, as she says in this episode, is actually Lady Death, actually has some meat to it, because there are several times when and not only is she resurrected out of a grave, that she comes out of a grave when they summon her, but that she has this conversation with Agatha several times where she tells Agatha, you're going to get your powers back, you're going to, get your powers from these witches, and I'm going to get my bodies. She may have some other reason for that, but it certainly seems like death is collecting bodies. Then when they think the teen is dead at the end or dying, Agatha looks over at Rio specifically and says, don't. Please don't take him, as in she has the power to take him. I think that, along with the Funko Pop box leak, I think she probably is Lady Death. I think there's a backstory there. Maybe she's hiding her personality for some reason. Maybe Agatha found that out, got too close to her, it caused problems. I definitely think that Rio is the reason that Agatha lost her son, which is probably why Agatha hates her, but she doesn't remember, and why she ended up going after the Darkhold, because she was trying to get her kids back, which would really lend itself to the story of Wanda trying to get her kids back, and would actually lead us even further into the Funko leak that the teen is actually, because Rio tells Agatha at the end, he's not your son. But if Agatha stole the Darkhold to get her son back, Wanda stole the Darkhold to get her son back, it would be a very interesting turn of events if the teen turned out to be Wiccan, if he turned out to be Billy Maximoff, and that Agatha feels this bond to him, that she understands what Wanda was trying to do, and she's going to go on a search to try to find Wanda later on, to resurrect her, to bring her back, to reunite her with her child. I think that would make for a really awesome story. It'd be for a really interesting way for Wanda to come back, although I have my own theories about how she's going to come back. I think it's going to be more in an X-Men fashion, but this would be really cool as well. But it would beg the question, why the sigil on the teen, and did Wanda put that on him later, or did it happen, have we already seen it on screen? In particular, episode 4 of WandaVision, when Wanda has her babies and she is singing over them in Sokovian. It's right before Maria Rambeau confronts her about singing in Sokovian, that she had a brother and all that kind of stuff, and she throws Maria out, probably not Maria, Monica Rambeau. She throws Monica out of the house and ultimately out of the hex. So I think maybe that could have been a protection spell. They may go back and kind of retcon that and go, yeah, that's totally what it was, even though it wasn't. The imagery there of there was some more moon imagery in the form of when the teen wakes up and you see his sweater. I had already been thinking moon phases. On one of his sleeves, he has a particular moon phase that is waxing, which means power rising. And then on the other shoulder, he has one that's waning, going away, which if they're on either one of his shoulders, that would make him the full moon. And if there's anything to that, that would indicate that he is a power source. He is full of power. And if he is Wanda Maximoff's child, of course, he is full power. And so is there going to be something there? Is that just kind of a, hey, we're just going to throw moon imagery everywhere, even though it doesn't really mean anything? They could be doing that as well. The other thing I wanted to ask a question about, and this is what I'm curious, and I would love to hear it in the comments below. The rest of the coven asks Agatha, when Agatha's saying, well, we don't need all the witches to get off the road. They don't really like the fact that she's insinuating that she's okay with them all dying, but she asks them, well, how many witches got off the road with you last time? And Agatha says 1. I wonder if Agatha and Rio were the only 2 to make it off the road last time. Rio seems to be perfectly comfortable there. It could be because she's Lady Death and she really doesn't care about it. She can come and go as she pleases. It will be very interesting to find out. I'm also curious, what's the reasoning for being able to walk the road more than one time? It seems like the road, at least in my mind, would reject you, like, hey, you've already done this. Unless the road is actually meant as a device to strengthen witches, to strengthen a coven. So you can come back with another group of people and help them out and work through it. It would also make sense that people don't actually die on the road. They kind of get thrown in somewhere and you can bring them back because the road keeps them around. Maybe you can pull people off the road. Who knows? It'd be very interesting. I think there's a whole lot of things they could do with this, but I'm really curious what you guys think about that, because when Agatha said I only came off the road with one person, not only did it give me some thoughts about Agatha's backstory with Rio, but it made me wonder all those other things about the road, about where people go and what they do. You got a lot of really what I thought were specific lines in this episode that could have lent themselves to any number of theories. But again, I'm very curious what you guys thought about it. I enjoyed the episode. I'm still enjoying the series, but I'm kind of in this, let's see where it goes, and it kind of needs to pick up. The next episode, if it's more procedural, I'm going to get a little bored with it. But if it takes a little bit of a turn, this next episode could be a really good turning point, leading you from episode 5 into 6, 7, 8, 9. And so, curious what you guys think. I really want to hear your comments down below. Please like and subscribe to the channel and share it, please. We're on our way to 200 subscribers and we need your help to get there. And also check out some of these other videos we have. You know, we've always got a lot of content you can sink your teeth into. And until the next one drops, guys, we'll catch you right back here. Later.